Let's now study the 4 different methods of separating mixtures. The first method we are going to study now will be the method of distillation. In this method, you will come to know how water can be separated from any other substance mixed into it. The distillation method includes vaporizing of water and then condensation of it. So let us see what exactly happens in the process of distillation.
Distillation is a method of obtaining pure liquid from a solution. In this process, the solution is heated so that the liquid evaporates. Let's understand this with an experiment. Take some salt water in a retort and heat the retort till the steam comes out of it. We will see the steam getting collected inside the beaker in the form of droplets of water. The steam condenses and reaches the beaker, and the salt left behind in the retort. This method of separation of soluble solids from liquids is called distillation. Now, let's see how can we separate insoluble solids from liquids with an experiment. To separate the mixture of sand and water by filtration, take a round paper and fold it to make a cone and place it over the flask. Pour water mixed with sand into the funnel. You will observe that clear water will get collected in the beaker and the sand will remain on the filter paper. The pure water collected is called filtrate. This method of purifying water is called filtration.
Now let us study the second method of separation using separating funnel. This method is used for separating of immiscible liquids. What exactly means immiscible liquids? The liquids which do not get mixed with each other, though you do it with any condition, that liquids are called as immiscible liquids. For example, any kind of oil and water. Or you can consider petrol and water. Though you mix petrol and water or oil and water and mix it or you shake it vigorously, still after some time when it gets settled down, then you will see the difference between the layer of oil and the layer of water. Since oil is lighter than water, water settles down and oil floats on it. To separate this kind of two liquids, immiscible liquids, we can use the method of separation using separating funnel. Let's see how the process of separating funnel is done.
Separating immiscible liquids. A separating funnel is used for the separation of immiscible liquids of different densities. Examples are oil and water. A separating funnel is a special flask in the shape of an inverted cone. It has a mouth at the top and a stopcock at the bottom. The mixture of immiscible liquid is filled in the separating funnel placed on a stand. It is allowed to stand for some time. The two liquids form distinct layers. The lighter liquid comes to the top and the heavier liquid settles at the bottom. Now the stopcock is opened and at first the bottom layer is removed. When this is finished, the top layer is removed into another container. Thus, we can separate the two liquids.
The next method we are going to study now will be method of centrifugation. If you mix any kind of lighter substance, any kind of lighter powder into water or any other liquid, it takes much time to get settled down. For this separation, we use the method of centrifugation. With the help of method of centrifugation, when the centrifugating machine is rotated vigorously, the lighter substance floats up and the heavier substance which is present into it will get settled down. In that case, water becomes lighter and the particles of mixture or any kind of substance added into it any kind of powder added into it becomes heavier and it gets settled down. For example, adding little amount of sand, which is fine sand, into the water. If you keep the glass where sand is added into water, it will take lot of time to get settled down. Instead, we can use the machine called centrifugation machine for the separation of sand from the liquid. Let's see how the method of centrifugation work.
Centrifugation. The centrifuge is a machine that rotates at a very high speed, and by centrifugal force, substances of different densities are separated. This method is used to separate suspended particles of a substance from a liquid. The process of centrifugation is widely used in dairies to separate cream from milk or curd.
Now we will study the last method of chromatography. In this method, we are going to study about how different colors are separated from a drop of ink. A drop of ink contains different colors into it, which are in different proportion. This method is done with the help of tissue paper or with the help of a filter paper and also with the help of a chalk. Due to the absorption of water into the filter paper, the colors which are present into ink start getting separated. Since water rises in the upper direction of the filter paper, water carries the ink and let it travel into the filter paper in the upper direction. At the same time, when the ink travels in the upper direction, it takes the color which have the different density. The color which is soluble more will travel faster upwards, and the color which is not more soluble will remain to the lower position. Let's see this method of chromatography with the help of the video now.
Let us do a lab activity to separate the different components of dye using chromatography. The aim of this activity is to separate the different components of dye using paper chromatography. The materials used in this lab activity are beaker, pencil, black ink bottle, filter paper, sellotape. Take a thin strip of filter paper. Draw a line just above the bottom of the filter paper using pencil. Put a small drop of ink at the center of the line. Let it dry. Now take a beaker and pour a small amount of water in it. Hang the paper strip with the help of a pencil and tape in such a way that the drop of ink on the paper is just above the water level. Now leave it undisturbed. Remove the paper strip from water after 10 minutes. Observe the changes. We have observed the following. The water gradually rises up the filter paper by capillary action. As water moves up the paper strip, it takes along the dyes present in ink. The dye, which is more soluble in water, dissolves first, rises faster, and produces a colored spot on the paper at higher position. The less soluble dyes dissolve a little later, rise slower, and form colored spots at some height on the paper. From this activity, we learned that we can separate two or more different substances present in the same solution. Chromatography is a laboratory technique for the separation of mixtures into its individual components. We can use chromatography to separate components of dyes in ink. The process can also be used to separate the colored pigments in plants and flowers, and also used to determine the chemical composition of many substances.
Students, these were the 4 different methods of lab activity for the separation of different mixtures. Thank you.